Hi metal lovers and creators of strong images. So welcome to my long-term review of the Godox V1 Flash, which I have been using for about 2 years now. So if you want to know if it's worth investing in a Godox V1 and want to know about the pros and cons, check out this video right after the intro. Okay guys, so I created chapter markers again, which you can find in the description so you can navigate through this video, so feel free to do so. I have been using the Godox V1 so for about 2 years now, and I photographed about 20 events with it, and due to COVID there were of course much less than usual. Flashes fired were about 15,000 to 20,000, 25,000 something, and I used it sometimes in the studio as additional flash with my other Godox flashes I own, so mostly the 8200 series and the 8600 Pro, and that's basically the base of my review. And there were two main reasons for buying the V1. So reason one is the TCM functionality. So TCM means TTL converted to manual. So I admit I'm using TTL for shooting events, so most of the time my camera is set to manual and the flash is set to TTL, and it works pretty well. So the TCM button does the following. When you take a photo with TTL and directly afterwards you're pressing the TCM button, which is this one, okay, it converts basically, it switches the flash to manual mode with the power settings of the latest photo taken with TTL. So I was using the Godox TT685 before, the on-camera flash, and which didn't have this feature by then. It was just introduced in the TT685 Mark II, so it was just recently. So the way I'm working with TTL and TCM is that I'm switching to manual with the TCM button when I'm shooting photos that are kind of in the same lighting situation. So for example, you're walking around an event, taking photos of people at the same location, same average distance, same location within the event location. And then the lighting situation doesn't really vary. So in this second, I'm taking a TTL test shot, and if I like it, I switch to manual. So this way, afterwards in post, all the images are basically lit the same, and I just have to set the Lightroom or Capture One settings once, and then I can simply copy them to all images of that series, which really speeds up the post-production process dramatically. Another example for using TCM would be taking photos from people that are walking off stage with a brightly lit stage in the background. So since the subject you want to take photos of is walking, like swinging left and right coming from stage, okay, and if you got the bright light behind it, sometimes it's visible in camera and sometimes not, so there's a chance that when you're taking the photo with TTL switched on, the lights are showing and sometimes the lights are not showing, and every time the TTL is reacting to this lighting, trying to illuminate the image the best. So all images would be different. If you use TCM first and set it to manual, then by the TCM button all is fine. Okay. The second reason for purchasing the V1 was the magnetic accessory mount. And since I already got the 8200 with the round head before, I also had this SKR1 accessory kit. Okay, so I can show you some of them. So let's go for the barn door. So you can simply put them on using the magnetic mount, and you're having a modifier right on top. And I really fell in love with this kind of setup, since they're very small modifiers, very handy, and that was also a reason, because I'm using the V1 in studio sometimes, and if I need a spot here and there, I'm using it with the magnetic grid, etc. Okay, now guys, if you like this video, so far, please consider subscribing, because I'm working really hard to get this channel going so that I can concentrate more on this kind of videos. So I would highly appreciate a subscription. It's really great because I'm really working hard on this channel. And so when it comes to the workhorse mentality of the V1, I can't complain at all. So when mounted to a camera, when I'm using Sony's, I'm using my Sony's, so I'm shooting Sony only. I had one occasion where I shot with a Canon, but I couldn't use it because the flash versions are based on the cameras, and the mount, the hot shoe mount of this version is not compatible with the other ones. So I'm shooting this one with my Sony's, and when mounted to the camera, I can't recall any misfires. Also, the battery is great, since I'm kind of indirectly checking the power settings the V1 is working at, because with TCM, when switching to manual, I can see the power settings the flash used. I can tell you that I never ever drained a battery at an event. So typically the power settings were between 1/64 to 1/8, okay? And the typical photo count at an event was 1200 to 1500 images, and I really never drained the battery, okay? Most of the events I used it at were kind of standard locations, ceiling height around 4 meters, not more. So keep in mind, when the ceilings are higher than that, you might need more power, since the reflective surface when you're shooting into the ceiling is far away. So power-wise, it's a on-camera flash, so working fine with me. Power is, I think, very close to... I think all on-camera flashes are more or less the same when it comes to power. If you're looking into the V1, due to the fact that it has got a lithium-ion battery, and you're expecting a huge advantage in that concerning recycle times, number of flashes per battery, I have to say that I found no difference compared to the TT685 with the Eneloop black AA batteries. I showed this also the recycle times in a previous video, which I linked in the description. The amount of flashes per battery is slightly lower than compared with the TT685 with the Eneloop black AAs, but the recycle times are practically the same. Okay, the recycle time of the V1 is pretty fast. It's great to work with, and always I'm trying to work at power settings, as I said before, of maximum 1/4. So for a recycle time demo, please check out the TT685 video, which I'm showing the recycle times of different power settings of the V1 and the TT685. The V1, as some of the other Godox flashes, can also work as a remote trigger for other Godox flashes. I just used it once. Let me show you quickly. So if you go, you need to use this button, and then, okay, there you can see these are the group settings, etc. I used it only once because I forgot my my trigger, and I by accident had this one with me, and it worked fine, okay, without any issues. If you are familiar with it, with the Godox triggers, it's working the same. I think you just have only 3 groups. I'm not sure. And the flash has to be mounted on camera for that purpose, okay? So you can't remotely trigger this one and use it as off-camera flash. If it should work as a transmitter, you have to mount it on camera. The automatic zoom of the V1 is also working fine. So that's the functionality that the head focuses the flash beam in accordance to the lens, if it's set to auto. So if you're using zoom lenses with a flash, it will change the beam accordingly to how your zoom is set at that moment. In manual mode, you can select the value manually. So let me show you that one. Okay, so as you can see, there is the zoom setting. So if you press once, at the moment it's on auto, as you can see over here. Yeah, and now you can go up to 105, I think, right? Yeah. So it's great, it's working fine. And just a tip, if you are shooting events with very high ceiling height, it's great to set the flash to one of the like 105 zoom settings. So that way the beam you're shooting into the ceiling is much stronger when it's being reflected than when you're setting it to a very wide zoom. Okay, now let's look at what I don't like about the V1. So number one is the pen motion of the flash head. It's has got too much, it's too strong, it's got too much resistance, and it's not really easy to turn it, especially in conjunction with my second item I don't like. It's that the flash shoe, it's all plastic, okay, which makes me nervous really all the time. It's getting slightly better over time. So when I got it out of the box, it was really tight, but now it's okay-ish. But it's really tough to turn. And concerning the plastic base flash shoe, I broke one of my TT685 once, had the same issue with turning the heads. I broke it for some other reason, but you have to be pretty careful when you take the flash off camera or put it on camera. So independent how stressed you are, take your time. In that second when you put it on or take it off, take your time, okay? Number three I don't like is the settings wheel on the back. It could have a little bit more grip. Plus it's pretty cheap, okay? It feels really cheap. Got a lot of how it's called. It's you know, it's moving a lot in a way it feels it shouldn't. And since the V1 is a kind of premium Godox on-camera flash, I would have expected a little bit higher build quality concerning this. And if you compare it or the whole user interface, come on. So if you compare the whole user interface with the Jinbei HD2, which has it's the same price, basically same price point. So in Germany this one is sold for 239 euros and the Jinbei is sold for 249, I think. It has got an all touchscreen UI, etc, etc. So this looks really old-fashioned. Okay, so that's it. So let me give you a summary. And so since from my perspective a flash needs to be reliable, produce light with least possible variations in light temperature, has to have a stable output and needs a long battery life, fast recycle times, the V1 works perfectly for me with the events I'm shooting and the kind of events I'm shooting. The magnetic mount is nice. It's a nice add-on feature I'm using sometimes. If I would do more creative event shoots with some setups in between, I think I would use the magnetic mount a little more. Just one item, if you're not interested in this magnetic mount, so if it's completely a side topic for you, you don't need it, you might be interested in looking into the TT685 Mark II, which is a very good alternative to the V1 because the Mark II also has got the TCM functionality. So from my perspective, they are the same, besides the round head. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope you liked it. If I could assist you some kind of bit concerning choosing your next flash. And if you like this video, please again subscribe, shoot me some comments, like it, and always remember to listen to more heavy metal. See you in the next video.